Check the back room.
Copy. Watch the hallway.
The sun had barely climbed over Miami when Derek Medina stirred awake at 9:30 in the morning inside his apartment at 555 Southwest 67th Avenue. The night before had been relatively normal. He and his wife, 26-year-old Jennifer Alfonso, had gone out to the Miami club, and his 10-year-old stepdaughter had fallen asleep by 10:30 p.m. For a brief moment, the apartment was quiet, carrying the illusion of an ordinary household starting an ordinary day. That illusion shattered almost immediately. Jennifer came into the room agitated and confrontational. She was furious that Derek had not woken her at 1:30 a.m. as she had apparently planned. What began as verbal frustration quickly escalated. According to Derek, Jennifer began hurling objects at him: towels, mascara, creams, boxes, anything within arm's reach. He claimed he ducked repeatedly and was struck in the face several times. Derek described Jennifer as someone with a deeply troubled past. She had lost custody of her daughter in 2008, had struggled with drug and alcohol addiction, and had only recently been working to rebuild her life. Derek claimed he had helped her quit smoking and marijuana, though he admitted catching her smoking again just a couple of months prior. He suspected she may have still been using other substances. The couple had been together nearly 4 years. Their anniversary would have been September 30th. Derek was 31, working as a front desk supervisor at the Gables Club. By his own account, he had endured years of physical abuse from Jennifer and had never once called the police, choosing instead to handle matters privately within the family. On this particular morning, however, things would spiral far beyond anything that had come before, setting in motion a chain of events that would end one life and destroy another.
More dangerous. Derek, feeling cornered and physically attacked, went to his bedroom closet and retrieved his firearm from its holster inside his pants. He pointed it at Jennifer, telling her to back off, even informing her that the safety was still on, as if trying to use it as a deterrent rather than a weapon. Jennifer, rather than retreating, reportedly laughed it off. "You're not going to kill me," she said. "You're not going to do anything." Her defiance seemed rooted in a belief that Derek was bluffing. He put the gun back in the closet, and for a brief moment, things appeared to calm. Jennifer left the room, though she kept returning to throw more items and continue provoking him. She announced she was going to pack her bags and leave at midnight when Derek went to work his overnight shift. He told her that was fine. Eventually, she moved downstairs to the kitchen. Derek, still rattled, followed unarmed to find out what she was doing. The argument reignited in the kitchen, and according to Derek, Jennifer punched him multiple times again. He went back upstairs, retrieved the firearm a second time, and came back down. This time, he claimed Jennifer had a knife, silver, roughly a foot long, with a black handle. She allegedly said, "I'm going to kill you." Derek said he grabbed her wrist, took the knife, and placed it back in the kitchen drawer. But the physical assault, he claimed, did not stop. Jennifer continued throwing punches wildly, aiming for her temple and chest area. Derek, a former amateur boxer with a 25-0 record, found himself in what he described as a moment of absolute terror, and he pulled the trigger. The gunshots broke the silence of the Miami morning with devastating finality. Derek fired his weapon repeatedly inside the kitchen of their apartment. By his own account, he discharged 6 to 8 rounds, and every single one found its mark. Jennifer was struck from her stomach up through her chest, neck, and throat area. The magazine, he confirmed, was fully loaded before he fired. Even as the bullets hit her, Derek claimed Jennifer continued to lunge at him, still swinging her fists in what he described as a state of shocked aggression. Her mouth hung open, he recalled, an expression of disbelief frozen on her face, but her body, driven by adrenaline and fury, allegedly kept moving. Eventually, she fell. Jennifer Alfonso, 26 years old, died on the kitchen floor of the home she shared with her husband. What followed the shooting was deeply disturbing and would become the defining element of this case in the public eye. Rather than calling 911, Rather than seeking medical help, even knowing it was already too late, Derek went upstairs. He told his 10-year-old stepdaughter to stay in her room and not come downstairs under any circumstances. He changed into jeans. He then came back down, stood over Jennifer's lifeless body, and took a photograph with his phone. His stated reasoning was chilling in its casualness. He wanted her family to see what had happened so they could come and collect his stepdaughter. He then uploaded the photograph directly to Facebook, first onto Jennifer's page, then onto his own, since he shared mutual friends and family with her. The image of Jennifer's body, sprawled on the floor, went live for anyone on their friend list to see. It was a decision that shocked the nation and guaranteed this case would become infamous far beyond the borders of Miami. The moment Derek Medina hit post on Facebook, the case transformed from a domestic incident into a national horror story. Alongside the photograph of Jennifer's lifeless body, he typed a message that was equal parts confession, farewell, and justification. He told his Facebook friends he was going to prison or facing a death sentence for killing his wife. He said he loved them, that they would see him in the news, and that his wife had been punching him and he was no longer willing to endure the abuse. "I did what I did," he wrote. "I hope you understand me." Friends and family members of Jennifer who logged into Facebook that morning were met without warning by the image. The shock and grief that rippled through her social circle was immediate and profound. Within hours, the post had spread far beyond their personal networks, drawing widespread media attention and public outrage. Meanwhile, Derek was methodically carrying out what appeared to be a pre-planned exit. After locking the apartment door, he drove to his Aunt Valerie's house on Southwest 48th Street. He calmly informed her and his Uncle Abby that he had just killed his wife, explaining that she had been abusing him. His aunt cried. She was confused. Derek then asked his uncle to contact his grandfather, his father, and his stepmother so he could say his goodbyes before surrendering. His father drove him to the City of South Miami Police Department. Derek walked in voluntarily and informed the dispatcher that he had just killed his wife and that she had been attacking him. Officers checked him for weapons, found no immediate threat, and placed him in a cell. There was no chase, no resistance, no dramatic standoff, just a man calmly handing himself over, seemingly convinced that self-defense would set him free.
Later that afternoon, at 4:04 p.m. on August 8, 2013, Derek Medina sat across from Detective Jonathan Gramman in a Miami-Dade interrogation room. A court reporter named Miss Sakaloff typed every word. Derek was read his Miranda rights, initialed each one, and waived his right to an attorney. What followed was a remarkably calm and detailed voluntary confession. Throughout the interview, Derek was composed, at times almost cheerful, a demeanor strikingly at odds with what he had done just hours earlier. He spoke quickly, often talking over the detective, and had to be repeatedly reminded to slow down and answer verbally rather than nodding. He recounted the morning's events in full detail. The argument that started over a 1:30 a.m. wake-up call, the objects thrown at him, the two separate occasions he retrieved his gun, and Jennifer's alleged threat with a kitchen knife. The detectives pressed him carefully on key contradictions. When Jennifer was hitting him in the kitchen, Derek was near the hallway, which led directly to the front door and an easy exit. He confirmed this. They also pointed out that his injuries, bruising on his left arm and marks on his chest, were not life-threatening. Derek partially conceded this, though he insisted he feared Jennifer was going for his throat and temple. The detectives also highlighted that during 4 years of alleged abuse, he had never once called the police, never sought help, never involved any authority. The most damaging element remained the number of shots fired. 6 to 8 rounds, every one hitting its target, in a situation where, by his own admission, Jennifer was unarmed by the time he pulled the trigger. The detectives didn't need to argue loudly.
The facts spoke for themselves, stacking quietly against any credible claim of self-defense.
The legal proceedings against Derek Medina moved through the Florida court system over the following years, culminating in a formal charge of first-degree murder. The case attracted enormous media attention, not only because of the gruesome nature of the crime, but because of the unprecedented act of posting evidence of a killing on social media. It raised urgent questions about the intersection of domestic violence claims, social media, and the boundaries of self-defense law. On February 8, 2016, Derek Medina was sentenced to life in prison. The jury had rejected his self-defense argument entirely. The prosecution had effectively dismantled his narrative by pointing to the number of shots fired, his proximity to an exit during the kitchen altercation, his failure to call 911 at any point, and the absence of any prior police reports documenting Jennifer's alleged abuse. His 25-0 boxing record also worked against him. It suggested he was physically capable of subduing or escaping a woman without resorting to lethal force. Beyond the life sentence for murder, Medina received an additional 15 years for a weapons conviction and 5 years for child neglect, given that his stepdaughter was present in the home at the time of the shooting. He vowed to appeal, maintaining that the sentence was unjust and that he had acted purely in self-defense. Jennifer Alfonso's story became a sobering reminder of how quickly domestic situations can turn fatal and how the internet can be weaponized even in the immediate aftermath of violence. Her family, who had been working for years to help her regain custody of her daughter, was robbed of her entirely. Derek Medina became one of the first people in American history to confess to a killing via social media, a grim milestone that the world will not soon forget.